Well, it's certainly kind of a relief to finally get the 3 and Ford Fusion in Victory Lane. It was an exciting race for us. I know it might have been a little bit caution-free, but we had a good car, good pit stops, and really look forward to coming to this racetrack. This is one of my favorite tracks, pretty high on my list, and got a couple wins here. It's always fun racing at this racetrack.
All right, we'll open it up for questions for Greg. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start in the back with Brian. Then we'll go to Bob.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Greg, you said it was an exciting race last week for you. Can you talk about what makes a race exciting for you behind the wheel compared to what, there were no cautions, all that kind of thing, but what makes it exciting for you?
Well, so as a race car driver, when you're driving around under caution, that's no fun. And restarts are fun and challenging in a way that, which we had a few of those. The 56 and I started side by side twice. Once he picked the inside, once he picked the outside. And a lot of and pit stops, pit cycles, and where you're running on the track, trying to make your car better. Every single lap, something happens, or you're grading yourself, or I'm getting my lap time and the leader's lap time, and the guy, or if I'm running third, I'm getting second place and fourth place lap time. So every single lap of the race, something is happening. And when I enter the corner, maybe I try and a little bit different, run the bottom, lap car coming up, I'm going to try and run the middle, and the tires are falling off, and I'm changing lanes. I'm trying to figure out, where I'm running faster. Joel tells me the 29's running all the way up against the fence. He's the fastest car on the track right now. So, I look and see, do I have room behind me to take the chance of going up there and running that high line, because I know it's going to take me a couple laps to get going. So Mark Martin's 20 car lengths in front of me. I've been trying to catch him driving my tail off. So I go up and run the top groove, and I lose about 8 car lengths to him. But the track felt like it had a lot of grip, so I'm going to enter a little faster and try it. So I drive in the corner a little faster, 3 and 4. And I almost get the fence, because the thing's sliding up there, and I go to the gas, and I have good momentum off. I lost another 8 car lengths to him. So now I'm not, 15, 20 car lengths behind him. Now I'm 35 or so. So, now, okay, that didn't work. So I'm back to the bottom, running the bottom. Now I reel him back in some. Now I've gotten back to where I was. So for us, there's constantly, racing going on, adrenaline, and I got to be thinking, okay, you're going to pit 19 more laps. What do you want us to do to the car? And I'm thinking, so you're thinking about, okay, what do I got to do to be better? Is more wedge going to help me lower the track bar? So for us and for the race teams, there's constantly stuff going on. May not look like it from the outside. Maybe just standing up there watching, and when you're 20 car lengths apart, you can't tell really visually whether you're getting closer or not per lap. But if you're watching the lap times on a fan view, or you're listening on the radio to the teams, you're understanding all the strategy and competitiveness that's going on, during that green run.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Bob, then go over to Mike.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Greg, I know you got a kind of a late start in your Cup career, but do you feel any sort of urgency to win this title because you are 42, and do you feel like you need to do anything differently, or do you do anything differently you feel being a little bit older than many of the other guys you'd be competing against?
Well, I feel the urgency because I'm ready to win it, but that's really, to me, that's really about it. I feel great. I feel better than I ever have, in these past 5 seasons, the way our team is and how competitive we are, and how I'm driving the car and how I feel personally. So, but yeah, I mean, I think anybody feels the urgency to want to win it. And, obviously someday I'm not going to be doing this anymore.
Okay, we'll go ahead with your question, Mike.
Mike Muller, MikeMuller.net. You were just up in Washington at the White House. If you could take President Obama around at Speed for a couple of laps, what track would you most like to take him around at Speed?
Couple of tracks come to mind. One would be Bristol, because it's badass fast, and people probably don't understand what it's like being inside that car. That, or a place like Texas, Charlotte, Atlanta, one of our 205 getting into the corner racetracks that has a lot of grip on a new set of tires. That will wake you up on what it's like to sit inside there for 500 miles.
Okay, we'll take our question in the back, and then come back up to Jim, and then Jim.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
I'm Karen from the ABC affiliate here in town. Is all through the season and this point, coming off this win, coming to a track where you've won before, are you thinking about the fall and the chase? And I mean, is this where you lay the groundwork for it? Because last year's chase was so close. Do you start thinking about that now, about getting a lead further, padding things out? What you do every week is going to matter, months from now? Or is it too early, like in the baseball season, it's early, don't worry about it, just do the best you can?
Yeah.
What's the mental strategy to stay out in front?
I start thinking about points when we go to Daytona for the Daytona 500, thinking about the chase, how I'm going to win the championship this year or next year or last year. So it's never too early. And what I think about going into each race is exactly that. One, how am I going to perform in this race? But more importantly, when it comes down to the last 10 of the season, how does this compare to one of those 10 racetracks? And how are we going to compete with one of those last 10? And how are we going to be better now looking forward to the last 10? Obviously, you got to make the chase. And we're off to a good start on that. But, I'm always thinking about that, because the last 10 races are really what counts. All these races in between now and there are two things. One is to win, gets you bonus points. And truthfully, other than that, it doesn't really matter unless you're learning something, learning about your cars, and learning about your setup, how are you going to be better for those last 10.
Okay.
Sure.
So this is one of those last 10, but they're changing the track and repaving it. So
Yeah.
can you really do the scouting report for the last 10
No.
here?
Nope. So this is just for fun. This is just for the trophy.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Jim.
Jim Noble, ESPN. When Carl re-signed with the team last year, he was kind of anointed or described as the #1 driver for Roush Fenway, or by many. Considering what you've accomplished so far this year, do you feel like that guy this year? Do you look around and say, I could do anything that the 17 and the 99 can do?
No, I still think the 99 is the number one team of Roush. I mean, I don't know. I'm the underdog.
We'll take our next question in the back from right beside you. Yeah. Oh, no, right here. I'm sorry. Jim, go ahead.
It's going to be two-fisted there in a second.
It is. Better be a good question.
Jim Pedley from RacingToday.com. Greg, considering, I know it's early in the season, but considering things like where you're in the points, the fast Roush cars, and a bunch of intangibles, are you starting to get the feeling that maybe this is the year? I mean, is your gut telling you anything at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't doubtful, let's say, 2-3 races into the season when we got the point lead. But I was like, okay, now we gotta keep it, and we gotta perform at this level everywhere we go, at all racetracks. So we ran good at Phoenix. We ran good at Las Vegas. We actually ran very well in my standards at Bristol and Martinsville, but we got a 13th place finish at both those tracks with a little bit of, let's say, an excuse. Bristol, we broke a bump stop on the right front shock with 17 laps to go. And we were going to well be in the top 5 at that racetrack for sure. I don't know if we're going to compete for the win. We were the first car on tires. And so our result doesn't really reflect, even though 13th is not a bad finish, our result doesn't reflect how good we were at Bristol, and the same at Martinsville. We were in position to be the lucky dog twice to get back in the lead lap. Would have finished inside the top 10, which finishing inside the top 10 at Martinsville is really a win for me and our team. So Martinsville, I look for a top 10 finish. Coming down to the last 10 races of the season, that is going to be that's going to be the one racetrack we look to and say we just need to finish in the top 10. You know, and every time I've run there, I've gotten better. But you know, now we've run competitively at every venue. Super Speedway, intermediate tracks, which has always been our strong suit, and you know, the short tracks we've been pretty respectable on. And so at this point, I feel good about just improving on all of those fronts, just getting a little bit better than we are now.
Okay, we'll take our last two questions in the back right there and then right up here in front.
Hi, Greg. Sean McDowell, Metro Sports, Kansas City. Question about the weather and how it affects speed, handling, grip. You're going to qualify and practice with the temperatures being significantly cooler than they will be at Sunday on race day. Where do you see the most difference temperature-wise when you start cold and end up warm?
You know, that's really difficult to do because the racetrack has a tremendous amount of grip. You kind of got the worst scenario. When we first show up on Friday, the racetrack is what we call green, doesn't have a lot of rubber down. So it tends to be the fastest then. Well, you can compound that with cool temperatures. This being the coldest day of the weekend, that really compounds the you know, the grip. You know, so the track will be very fast today, lots of grip, and then Sunday be completely opposite. It'll be, you know, slick and hot and not a lot of grip. So it is difficult to get your car set up for those conditions. You know, doing a lot of our practice today. The one thing tomorrow will help us some on you know, the track being a little closer to what it's going to be.
Okay, final question. Go ahead.
Todd Palmer, Kansas City Star. You said this is one of your favorite tracks. You know, are you disappointed that they're tearing it up and that you're going to have a whole new surface come October?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I am. But you know, the racetrack is, you know, I heard that, you know, it's coming up in some spots, and certainly, you know, we got to keep the racetrack in good condition where it's not coming apart during a race. But other than that, I think the racetrack has a lot of character. It gets slick, it gets, you know, slow, a lot of strategy it takes. The racing could be improved by the left side tire that we used at California. Goodyear knows that. You know, I've talked to, I did all I could do. I was the president, you know, gave the speech several times to try and get a different left side tire here because it was so much better at California. And it was a lot better across the seams, and it was easier to drive, gave the car more grip and speed. But they didn't want to change it because there's only one race left. And I understand that part. So long story short, no, I don't. I'm a little disappointed, I guess, that they're repaving it, but I understand that, you know, we got to keep the racetrack together as well, not have something happen like what happened at Daytona.